Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of this podcast. It's been a while. I was gone a little bit and had a great time and got a little bit rested because there is a bull market coming up and we have to be ready for it. So let's see. There's just a couple of things that I want to discuss today that are sort of important to me, and I thought I'd share with you. And then otherwise, I'll take questions from the audience, pretty quickly. But let me catch you up on everything that happened while I was gone. One of the reasons why I was gone was I was in Denver, Colorado, for ETH Denver, and that was a fantastic, really really fun time for me for sure, and I think for everybody in the Avalanche community. So, what exactly happened there is the question, and I think a couple of things happened that made me feel incredibly bullish about what is about to happen, about the bull run that has already started, that we're in the middle of, and incredibly bullish about how we are positioned as a community at Avalanche. So. ETH Denver was a conference that I hadn't gone to in a long while. I do consider myself part of the Ethereum community. I played a fairly, I played a far more of a role in the evolution of Ethereum than many of the Ethereum founders. So I consider myself forever intertwined in that community. And going over to ETH Denver, I had a bunch of open questions on my mind. I was wondering whether or not there was something in the Ethereum community that we lacked. That's always one of the things that you have to do as somebody who's really deeply vested in the success of Avalanche. You do have to be looking over your shoulder at everybody else, seeing what it is that they're doing, what it is that they might have that you might not. Now, let's be clear. Ethereum has been around 6 more years than we have, maybe 7. I actually don't know the count, but it's about somewhere around there. So it's 6 extra years of doing and thinking about all of those things that plague blockchains. So we were late entrants into this game. We came in with some amazing technology. We leapfrogged everybody. We were the first to burn fees among the smart contract platforms. We were the first to come in as one of the first to come in with proof of stake among the smart contract platforms. We were the very first Ethereum layer 2 in a sense. We were the very first non-Ethereum EVM chain. So we leapfrogged a lot of the competition. We've been going very very fast, but it was still an open question in my mind whether or not we are fast enough, whether or not there are dimensions where the other communities have a leg up on us, that they've thought about issues longer than we have. They have more people, etc. And that's kind of interesting. And one of the main things I saw at ETH Denver is that everybody's at the same place or behind us. That was one of my main takeaways. So the kinds of things that they're working on at ETH Denver are all things that either we have sorted out or they aren't that germane to us, at least according to our roadmap, or it's just stuff where we're just ahead of that community. So that was really interesting to me, and that came as a surprise. I was not expecting that. It was one of the pleasant surprises. The second thing I saw is a whole bunch of layer 2s, and when you look at the ETH Denver community, when you look at what's going on over there, it's just a crap ton of layer 2s, all indistinguishable from each other. I think I called it out. I think it's safe to say that I called it out, and many other people also called out that layer 2 vision gives rise to a fractured scene. And that fracture is deep. Once you commit to the layer 2 path, you can't uncommit and pull out. You can't just go to a different vision. So Ethereum is headed into this universe where forever after, they will have a gazillion layer 2s, none of which have any incentive to work well with others. And that's what I saw at ETH Denver. A crap ton of layer 2s that are essentially just competing with each other and are just biding their time, waiting for the day that they can compete with Ethereum itself. And that was also an eye-opening exercise for me, that everything we called out was borne out. So that was really interesting. And then the third thing I noticed there, of course, is this push for Bitcoin layer 2s. So there's going to be a bunch of Bitcoin layer 2s. People are excited finally that Bitcoin is getting new asset types. Bitcoin is kind of like our X chain, the chain that we don't use that much. But that's what it really does, right? It allows you to send Bitcoin around, and it allows you to create new assets these days with a lot of friction. Whereas our X chain is a cap supply asset powering a blockchain that has all of the same features as Bitcoin and can be sent around, etc., but can also be very easily used to create new assets. So that was sort of the universe that I was looking at. There's going to be a bunch of people sort of competing in that Bitcoin L2 game. I called out the Bitcoin L2 problems a long time ago, the Lightning problems a very, very long time ago. You'll, of course, remember that Avalanche is also a layer 2 for Bitcoin already. So you can take your BTC and put it on Avalanche very, very easily, and then use it in DeFi, use it as collateral, use it for all sorts of things. So I think we have a leg up on just about everybody in this game in quite a few ways. So I left Denver thinking this is a fantastic setup for us. We have been. It's not always the case that you say something and then it's borne out, right? It's very hard. As a professor, I've made a concerted effort to profess, to publicly hold an opinion, to say, based on my knowledge, this is what will be. And that's a very risky thing to say. I have colleagues who just run away. They scurry like rats whenever called upon to make a prediction. Their knowledge is good enough to explain things in retrospect, but to save their lives, they cannot make a prediction. They know that they don't know enough, that if they were to make a forward-looking statement, their knowledge just falls short, and they just can't, whatever they say doesn't come true. But one thing that made me really, really bullish and really happy was that, I don't know how long I've been on social media. I've been professing, and there are a couple of things I do, right? I don't do the things that everybody else is doing. That's one of the things. If it's easy, somebody else will do it. In fact, people will do it in droves. So I take the positions that are backed by science that other people are not taking. And so I don't know how many, 35,000 tweets later, there are very, very, very few that I would like to take back. I think I made one mistake, one technical mistake at one point a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. But other than that, it's been a series of exact predictions that have been borne out. And so it's really nice to see that. In the previous bull market, there was a lot of noise. There was an incredible amount of noise. And, we got to see chains built by people who had no staying power get a lot of traction. We had broken technology get a lot of traction, etc. And but nowadays, especially after ETH Denver, it was clear to me that hard work pays off. Even despite all of that noise, all of the craziness, the bag holders, the influencers, and the influencers who are pretending to be technical people and so on. Beyond all that, underneath it all, the market does reward those people who bring new use cases, who do actual work on chain. And so that left me feeling absolutely fantastic coming back from Denver. I've been on some kind of a weird this weird high that's just not going away. I've been so incredibly bullish about where we are, where we're destined to go, and how dominant this technology is going to be no matter what happens. It can't be unrolled. It can't be banned. It cannot be legislated away. So what can happen to it? Well, it's going to be the new rails for a lot of operations we perform. It's going to be a slow process still. Those institutions, I know exactly how hard they are to sign up. I'm one of the people on the front lines talking to people to get some of these behemoths on Wall Street to switch their ways. But it will happen. It is inevitable at this point. And so that really fills me with joy, and it's fantastic to see that the hard work is paying off, that the people who persevere, who are here through thick and thin, are the ones who are going to be here. I could have told you that there were certain chains that would just disappear during the bear market. In fact, I did. Those were the earlier days. Now my team actually prohibits me from saying anything negative, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So no more professing of that kind. But the chains that you knew were going to go away, they did go away in the bear market. And so now we're positioned for a new bull, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen there. So that's sort of the my takeaway from ETH Denver. We had a fantastic time at the Avalanche Hack House. Met a lot of founders. Met a couple of researchers actually from the system space, from the distributed system space, and it was fantastic. Met with some partners that with whom we're building things. It was overall just a very fun time for us, for me at least, and I think. It was a time. It's not always the case that's that sort of the skies part and something says big voice says to you like everything you've been doing has been on the right track. It was almost one of those episodes. It was essentially a vindication of where we've been, what we've said, and there are if you don't believe me, you can say, oh, that's very corny, whatever. No, obviously the skies didn't part. Fine. So then just go and look at how many narratives other chains went through, how they had to change their vision to adopt the vision of the day, the technology, the buzzwords of the day, and how resilient ours has been. So we're on a mission here to make many chains work as one. We're on a mission to have multiple chains, multiple networks work in concert together, and that vision has been vindicated. You're going to see other people try to copy us. They will try to act like this is what we always wanted to do, but no, they will just be copying us. And it's fantastic to be ahead of the pack in terms of technology, and it's also okay for that technology not to be widely recognized by the masses at large, right? The masses at large, there are a bunch of people who buy and sell things without knowing what they're doing. That's fine. It takes time for information to permeate to that crowd. And it's okay, right? What matters to us is building. What matters to us is establishing the foundation for all these new applications to come that use our technologies. Okay, so on that front, the second thing I want to talk to you about is Teleporter. I'm not sure if you've seen the videos of people using Teleporter. I don't know if you saw that video of someone opening up their wallet, taking some assets with their mouse, dropping them onto a different network. Just a fantastic show of what it's like in a universe where there are multiple chains and you can take assets from one chain and move them to another seamlessly, without friction, very easily and cheaply. That is what Teleporter gives us. And it gives us that ability without having to make additional trust assumptions. So you're not going through a bridge. You are actually going through the entire validator set. And therefore, you're not actually trusting anybody that you did not already trust. So there is nobody in a position of authority for that transfer to happen. There are no specially designated nodes, etc., etc. So that's Teleporter. It is one of the cornerstone. I don't know what kind of a stool we have, how many legs it's got, but it's one of the main legs of this, I don't know, 3-legged, 4-legged, maybe 6-legged stool or whatever that we have. But it's a crucial one, the one that connects chains together, that allows a chain to send a message from one chain to another. And the assets, of course, can move freely. You can create your own subnet where your token is the gas token, no problem. You can take that gas token and bring it to the C chain and put it into Trader Joe. It can reside there on a pool, and it can be used as collateral on Benki, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the vision, and that vision is today becoming absolutely fortified with tooling that makes it really easy to use, really easy to tap into. So there will be many other use cases that come up. We'll learn more about how people want to use blockchains. We'll learn more about what people want to do, and we'll learn more about their pain points. So it will evolve forever. That's the expectation. But I think the underlying principles of multiple chains, each subject to their own rules, multiple virtual machines, customizability above all else, and a low touch, no centralized bottlenecks, no hubs, no this, no that. That's it's just you are free to build your own chain and connect with any other chain that you like, and not connect with or not respect messages from chains you don't like. That's the guiding vision, and that's what has been keeping us on the path that we've been on of technological development and technological dominance. Whenever people want to have control over their assets, whenever they want to build something cool that isn't supported by the existing virtual machines. So on that front, there's Teleporter. That's check out the demos, check out the videos. It's really easy to use. There is Hyper-VM built on Hyper SDK. There is a lot more to do and a lot more coming from various people who are adopting it. That's I got a chance to talk to some of the builders at ETH Denver. So there are some people who are building really exciting things based on Hyper-VM. The core idea there is you can take that virtual machine and specialize it for your use case. Suppose you want to do some IoT things, you don't want the full generality of a smart contract platform, or you want to build a different smart contract platform, or you want to change the way accounting is done, the way gas accounting is done, the way charging is done, what have you. You can build it fairly easily with Hyper-VM. And there's a lot more coming on that front, and I can't be more excited about the technological path that we will see explored by various different subnets. It's literally free to take, and anyone can specialize it. And especially those of you who are younger students looking for summer projects, and summer's coming up. This is a good time to look around. Hyper-VM is a fantastic, elegantly designed underlying substrate. Take it, play with it, see what you can make of it. And I would be delighted myself to see any and every project that is built on it. So do ping me, and I would be delighted. I love seeing demos, especially if it's a demo on Avalanche. So let's see. Let me go through the rest of the things that are happening. GDC happened, so that's the Game Developers Conference, and some of the folks from Avalanche and Avalanche Foundation and Ava Labs went there, and what I gather happened there was amazing, right? So they had a big banner saying Web3 gaming sucks, which it does. It really does. And underneath that big banner is the big Avalanche area where we showcased what people are doing with Web3 gaming on Avalanche. And it's nothing short of jaw-dropping. You've heard me talk about Shrapnel before. You've heard me talk about Off the Grid. There are many other games coming online. I'm not going to name their names because I don't know which ones are public, which ones are not. I don't know what state they're in. So I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth here and reveal stuff. But there is a lot of exciting games coming online. And there's a simple reason why they come to Avalanche. Very simple one. They get paid. Some of these games have been paid by competing chains. They've been paid by L2s. They've been paid by all these other people doing asinine plays. You know, the play where they run something, kind of crappy thing, maybe goes backwards every day. And then they take pictures of themselves with Vitalik. And then that's how they try to build value. So that's always been incredibly, incredibly awful. I never did that. Vitalik's a close friend. And that's just not how we get our legitimacy. We are legitimate because we bring the best of science to blockchains, not because we're socially proximate to somebody who's popular. So let's see. But those folks, the competition, the L2s especially, were paying enormous sums of money, tens of millions of dollars to various people building things, especially to certain game players. They also paid a lot of money to blue chips, like Instagram was using some other chain for a while, etc. Reddit was using, and they all got canceled. Reddit's no longer using any chains, as far as I know. Instagram disabled that feature. So they collected the money. They did the minimum amount. They said, this is crap. We're turning away. This is the kind of behavior that gets that negativity built around, in mainstream against blockchains. There's two sources of negativity against blockchains. One in DC, especially by clueless boomer politicians who formed their opinion in the earliest days of blockchains. They don't understand what's happened. They don't understand what Ethereum does. They don't understand what the smart contract platform is. That's one source of negativity. They looked at Bitcoin in the early days. They looked at the Bitcoin community and its ethos in the early days, and then they turned away. And the other source of negativity is in Silicon Valley. And it's because of crap like this. It's because we tolerate and we don't self-police crap like this. So people tried. These people are like, okay, we'll give you a go. And it doesn't work. So So interestingly, those games and those projects are coming to us, and they come to us and they say, "Look, we've spent so many days, not even days, so many months, so many years, in some cases, trying to make something work that is fundamentally broken, and we need a chain that works." So that's how we've been getting a heck of a lot of folks to come to us, and you might have heard about the amazing game from Korea that everybody used to play when they were kids. That's on top of Avalanche now because they badly needed something that worked, and they're not going to be dazzled by pictures of Vitalik. They're not going to be dazzled by ZK this and VRF this and VDF competition that. All of that stuff, the stuff that people in their asinine fashion go to crypto conferences for and pick up the keywords and then and service to the public. That's not going to cut it. You gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta build something that works. And as people who've built things that work at Ava Labs, I think we're in a fantastic position as an Avalanche community, as the Avalanche community, as a community that has fostered people who are building things. We're in a fantastic position. So that was my takeaway from GDC. I wasn't there, but I heard from a heck of a lot of friends who normally go there that Avalanche stole the show, and I'm really thrilled to hear it. It's about right. You're going to see that this year is going to be a year of major releases on blockchains. These AAA games, they're not play to earn games. They're not simple things that you do overnight. So they take a while to build. It's a big operation, many tens of millions, maybe more. But once launched, they sometimes clear more than one or more billion per year in revenue. So these are really lucrative games, and having all of this activity take place on a chain, on a subnet, is going to be fantastic. So let's see, what else is there to say? Meme coins. So the kudos to the Avalanche Foundation. I had almost nothing to do with that decision, but it was great that they saw the writing on the wall before most people. I would say before everyone. And they realized that people love meme coins, people love trading meme coins, and they came up with the Community Coin Initiative. And so we've been seeing that activity flourish, and it's been wonderful to see. It's great. There's a lot of meme coins right now. I'm sure my comments are flooding. I don't know if this is a real chat. It should be a real-time chat. I'm sure the comments are going crazy with $, this and that. I don't expect a shout out from me, please. It's just I don't endorse anything other than I don't endorse anything. It's just, what does that mean to endorse something? But I'm a fan of AVAX first and foremost. But it's really wonderful to see that community develop, and it's wonderful to see vibrant activity around these things. And just for the older folks out there who may or may not see the value of meme coins, I think we all grew up trading cards of one kind or another. So I had little cards with cars on them. I think growing up in the U.S., most people have the baseball cards, and it takes a certain kind of savvy to navigate that game. And meme coins are like that, but amped up to the extreme. So you really have to be, really good in terms of being able to predict what's going to be hot and cool, right? So, and that's one of the most important things as a teenager, as a young person, that having your ear to the ground, being cool when others are not. And so that's really what's going on there. It's a way to demonstrate your savvy. It's a way to demonstrate how plugged in you are to other cool people, other cool communities. So it's there's going to be a bunch of people who are like, oh, these meme coins, they do nothing. Okay, well, they do nothing. It's not the biggest deal. For the longest time, my greatest competition was a dog and another dog. It was Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, and it used to infuriate me that there were these stupid coins that did nothing. But they actually do something. They allow people to show how socially well connected they are. They allow people to demonstrate to themselves and others how savvy they are, how hip they are. So that's what's going on. And if humans like that, then they like that. It's not for us to judge. So that's what's going on there. Let's see. Final thought is about Codebase. We had the inaugural Codebase meeting take place in Lisbon, and I regret not being able to go there. It was too soon after ETH Denver, so I couldn't make it. But quite a few people from the Avalanche community, obviously, of course, were there. Obviously, all of the participants were there. So that's been amazing. I gather that there are some really, really strong teams there. I got the skinny on how many people participated, what they're working on, etc., etc. So if you're a Codebase participant, welcome, and can't wait to see what you come up with. I am dying to see demo day at the end of the Codebase, the first run of Codebase, first edition of Codebase, and otherwise thrilled about what's happening there. Also thrilled about the ambassador program. We got, I don't know how many applicants for Avalanche ambassadors. If you are really, really vested in Avalanche, you are excited about the technology, you understand it, please consider that program. It might be something that's a good fit for you. And that's, again, a program through which we try to get the word out to other developers about Avalanche platform, how to program for it, etc. And it's a program that allows us to create a support network around developers. So let's see. Let's go into the comments. We miss you. I missed you guys more. You have no idea how much I miss you. And my team was like, "Do you really want to do this today?" And I was like, "You know what? I badly want to do this today. I missed talking to you guys, and I missed reaching out and giving you what I think about this bull run. That little spark, that enthusiasm. It's really hard to get across in dry written tweets. So so you have to kind of hear it from me. You have to hear me describe what happened in ETH Denver. You have to hear me describe what I saw. So here I am doing exactly that. Let's see. Okay, so lots of GMs. Yes, GMs. Lots and lots of meme token. Yes, I see you guys drop these names. Let's see if there's a substantive comment. Please support this and that. Okay, sure. I'll, I try not to endorse anything, but I do want to see the meme community on Avalanche do well. So, how do so many L2 projects manage to get VC funding if they're so similar to one another? That's a good question. Why not? Right? So you see one of the L2s do really well, and then everybody else gets in the copycat game. And if the VCs are getting in, they get in very early, and they corner the supply. It's a fantastic setup for them, right? So so then they sell their bags, they shill the bags, they sell them, and then they move on. So so that's doable. Your first-rate VCs are not going to do a gazillion of these. At some point, even they will just realize that this is a futile game. But when the first-rate VCs are done with the game, you see the second-rate ones come in, and then the third-rate ones come in, and by the end, you've got the bottom, the bottom feeders coming in and selling all sorts of stuff. So well, what can one do about this? There's nothing. It's just what happens. It's okay. At some point, the game will stop working. At some point, people will be like, you know what? I don't think I need another language to write my smart contracts in. Solidity is fine. In fact, most people I could hire, they only know Solidity. They don't know this other stuff. So then the game is up, right? So people are going to be like, oh, okay, well then maybe this other stuff is just an asinine play to sell tokens. There's at some point, as I said, the game will be up. This broken liquidity between L2s. How long can it persist? At some point, people will be like, this is stupid. Why am I bridging? It takes so long to get my money in and out of all these L2s. What is it that I'm doing? This is a silly thing I'm doing. So so let's see. So it'll come to an end. I don't think we have. Maybe there might be some more chains coming up this cycle, but not that many. And then after that, I think that game is over. Like this is technology is here. People have proposed a whole bunch of things. I called out some of them as non-workable. They will turn out to be non-workable. And then we propose something that's very workable and obviously sweeping the field. So I think it's pretty clear to me how this will play out. Having multiple chain layers makes it confusing for newcomers. Absolutely, Tula. You are right. Having multiple chains is confusing. But there is no other way of separating different functions. The P chain is very different from the X chain, very different from the C chain, and very different from other chains one might launch, right? You might imagine a Z chain that's anonymous. You might imagine, another C chain that has a different smart contracting language or virtual machine on it. The movement virtual machine is coming in. So if you really like Move, you could use it there, etc., etc. So is this confusing? Maybe. It's confusing if we try to fit this into a world where there is one chain per project, right? So if you try to put this on Coinbase or whatnot, it's going to look a little confusing at first. If you try to collect measurements, right? So Avalanche is perennially at a disadvantage because we are multiple chains. And when people look at TVL, they typically look at only the C chain. And that's weird. We actively push some of our TVL to other chains that work as one with the C chain. So the right thing to do is for the tooling to say these things are grouped together. So that's, it takes forever to change the way people think, but surely they will. Just watch what happens after this cycle. Watch what happens in the next couple of years, next 3 years. People are going to realize, okay, one chain is not going to cut it. They will be like, oh, I finally have a AAA game coming onto my chain, and it's going to soak up all the bandwidth. What do I do? Oh, no. Well, then you go to Avalanche and you copy what Avalanche has been doing, if you can, and you'll just be multiple years behind. So let's keep on going from here. Yes, make AVAX great again. It's great right now. It's pretty good. Appreciate the work we've done for the team. Thank you. We are all working very, very hard. And I know how hard some of the community members are working as well. So, it's just a lot happening right now. Let's see. Okay, so, why is Avax always behind in terms of price? I can't discuss price. Price moves when you guys buy and moves up when you guys buy and moves down when you guys sell. That's what happens to it. And otherwise, it's there are, the pressures or the whatever else that these coins face are all pretty similar. AVAX is a capped supply token, so that's actually in its favor. That makes it different from Ethereum. It's different from, I think Solana may or may not be capped supply. I'm not sure what it is. But AVAX is similar to BTC in that regard. But unlike BTC, we don't have to give a huge amount of the coins to miners, and the miners don't have to sell a huge amount of coins to pay their electricity bills. So there's a bunch of things going on that makes us more efficient as a financial platform than these other coins. So we have a lot of things lined up. Our community is different, though. It's skittish. It's a bunch of people. The people who really came into Avalanche as their first coin are the ones who missed the previous systems, right? So they have less savvy in these markets, and they tend to be a little bit more skittish. And skittishness just is self-reinforcing. If you're like, oh my God, the price went down by 1 cent, let me sell, etc., then that will create, that will exacerbate those ups and downs, right? Oh my God, it's going up by 1 cent, I'll buy. Oh my God, it's going down. That's just going to create what we call pilot-induced oscillations, and that's maybe partly to play. The other thing, independent of the price, that I want to call out is the Avalanche community ends up being a little bit more negative than others at times, and that's weird. So it's the thing to worry about is, where are we in the long term? Will we dominate in the long term? Is the technology capable of dominating in the long term? Do we have a competitive advantage? Have we established it? Are we building moats and so on? So those are the questions you should be asking, not day to day, what happened today, what happened yesterday, etc. So our community tends to not realize this, and seems to be like, be upset at various things that are happening for no reason. You guys got to chill. So to learn to look in the long term, and you have to learn to think like a proper builder and founder. All right, so Bancor was the best negative prediction. Oh yeah, I remember the Bancor write-up from a long time ago. That was it was interesting. They're doing very well, and that's good to see. Teleporter token bridge audit is coming. There's a question here. It's coming very soon. I think it's for sure it's underway, and we're going to share it. It's going to, once it's out, then we'll be able to put the bridge code, the bridge contract out on the chains. So let's see what else is happening. It's about time the intern gets out of bed. Yes, the intern has been hilarious, just absolutely hilarious. And I had a poll on which intern is the funniest. There's a CMS intern, I think. That's number 2 after hours. There's also Chamath intern. I forgot about Chamath intern. He's also very funny. I think Chamath intern has nothing to do with Chamath himself. They're just kind of making fun of him, but he's really funny. Let's see. Somebody's locked up in the supply closet. Yes, that's the intern. Yes, we'll lock him up. Let's see. There's a bunch of stuff. Throughput is TPS. Scalability is not TPS over cost. Scalability has multiple dimensions, right? It's a performance metric as a function of some other things. So typically you want to look at how is latency affected as I have more clients? How is latency affected as I have more validators? How is throughput affected as I have more clients or more validators or more whatever the heck you want? But scalability is always one control variable against a performance variable. And if the performance variable is staying constant or going up potentially, then the system is said to be scalable. Or if it's going down, but going down as a log function of whatever is happening, then that's actually not bad also. But on those fronts, Avalanche is insanely scalable. And the things that I care about is typically latency versus validators, throughput versus validators. And that's where we excel. Everybody else has to resort to funky tricks because they are trying to do all-to-all communication. And the more people you have that have to talk to each other, the n squared is the amount of overall communication you have to do. And that's what drags down everything else, that all of the performance variables. So I hope that's useful. So layer 2s are they have all sorts of problems because they are paying volatile fees to ETH, and that's correct. So as you have the underlying chain go through its cycles of congestion and so on, at the times when you most want to use your L2s are the times when you have to pay the most to the host chain. And what are you getting for it? These guys don't even have fraud proofs for most of the for most of them. So I wrote a little thread. I should mention the other thing that happened is Sam got sentenced to 25 years. He will have to serve 21 years and a quarter before he's eligible for parole. I am super happy that the Avalanche community was mostly spared. In fact, of all the projects that I know of, and all the projects that Blizzard ever touched, there's more than 100 projects, maybe 200 projects, and I think 160 something projects. Only one had funds on FTX. So we generally steered our community away from Sam. We knew that he was doing, we didn't know, but we suspected that his heart was not in supporting us. We knew that he was doing funky things with Sam coins, and now we feel validated there. He was clearly selling people's AVAX to prop up his Sam coins, and Sam coins are Solana, SRM, etc. And that was a terrible time. And now you'll remember that we were head to head with Solana. And so imagine how we would have been had this idiot not been running his fraud. If this idiot hadn't been selling your AVAX on his exchange to prop up his holdings of these other coins, where would we be? He left a market imbalance that I think remains to this day, but have faith in the long-term vision of the markets. They know what's up, and those things always get fixed up. Maple Story, that's the name of the game. It's fantastic. It looks so nice. And every time I see it, I don't know what I wanted. I want to get some candy and eat some candy, just like a 6-year-old kid. Looks amazing. Let's see. So, all right, lots and lots of calls for various shout outs. I'm not going to shout out to anyone. Yeah, okay. So like all sorts of people, are upset at all sorts of other entities in the crypto space. You can't be like this, so if you don't like Binance, you don't like Binance, what have you. It's not them who screwed you over. So learn to take some responsibility there and be cool. Like, if you lost money, you lost money on Binance. That happens to everybody. So just happens. Let's see what else is happening here. Let me try and find a good question. It's a little. Are you surprised that BlackRock chose Ethereum for their RWA fund? Not the least bit. Not the least bit. So let's see which other chains they deploy on. If you were at BlackRock, what would you do? You can't just skip over the number 2 coin, the number 2 system for launching these kinds of funds. So that's where you should have deployed. It's perfectly fine. Ethereum is a fantastic playground for things at the app level and up. So not a great place for what's happening underneath the platform layer. So it's just not, it's just very slow. They are barely going through the issues that we went through 3.5 years ago. So they're quite behind Avalanche at the platform level. Their consensus protocol is not anywhere near as good. Their finality is 780 seconds. Our finality is 1 to 2 seconds. So night and day when it comes to tech. So I'm not the least bit surprised that BlackRock did this. Let's see what they do next. Let's see where else they deploy. Let's see. Okay, so let's try to find some other questions. What's your view on UX for the multi-chain world? Yes. So that the view there is quite simple, and I've said this before. I'll say it again. It has to be transparent. The fact that we have multiple chains has to be transparent. The systems must act as one. The vision for this is really straightforward and yet so rare. I did not want to be in the business of having to build everything. But going into this, I did realize that this is crypto. There are many, many, many people who make noise. There are lots of people who make technical sounding noise, but there are very few people who can actually deliver results. So I came into it thinking, I'm going to have to bring the best of science to this universe across the board. I'm not going to be able to just build a platform and be done. But instead, I will have to also show the world how to interact with multiple chains, how to interact with chains in general, how to build a great user experience. And that's why we built Core. I also, decided early on, I'm going to have to show enterprises how to launch their own chains. Doing those crappy little, proofs of concept with R3 and so on, that wasn't going to get them anywhere. None of those early prototypes got deployed. They went nowhere. They were just initial dipping the toe in the water, but it wasn't going to amount to anything. So we needed to show people, look, this is how you build things that actually work. So we came in. We now have the Ava Cloud initiative. We have 30-something people going through Ava Cloud to launch their blockchains. I think there are 3,500 blockchains in testnet on Fuji. So we're in a very good position as a community with a lot of people trying out how this is done. I also thought all of our exchanges are untrustworthy, and believe it or not, that thought started in 2015 or so, and it culminated in us building and then spinning out this exchange called Enclave.markets. So take a look at Enclave. It builds something in where essentially all of the tricks that Sam pulled, none of them would pass. That software does, from the ground up, by construction, rules out malfeasance. It rules out front running. It rules out MEV. It rules out the custodian stealing funds and running away. It rules out all of the tricks that we saw, sandwiches, etc. And then, of course, it guarantees confidentiality. It prohibits leaks. So I came into this thinking I'm going to have to show the world exactly how this technology stack ought to work. And so we've been doing that. So take a look at Core. Core is just finding its footing, if you ask me. It is now on par or better than the MetaMask experience. And pretty soon you'll see that not only is it nice, etc., but also there are things that you can do with it that you couldn't do with other front ends to chains, and it's a lot easier to use, a lot nicer to use than MetaMasks of the world, than other approaches to wallets. So that user experience can be drastically better, and these multiple chains should not be in your face. Chain switching should not be something you do. It should all be implicit and in the background, and we will get there. The current experience is beginning to show signs that this can be done. I talked about dragging and dropping coins before, but there's so much more to do, and it's going to come to Core. And Core, of course, will have all sorts of incentive programs that I am really, really excited about. I think one of them that was announced was a meme coin incentive program for Core users. So what does that mean? You use Core, you just get airdrop meme coins for free out of the blue, and then you go and play with them, etc. So that's a good way to acquire some meme coins. So take a look. Where do you read the comments from? I don't know. I read it from here, StreamYard, but maybe you guys are reading it from somewhere else. Will there be a marketplace between subnets and validators? Yes, there is going to be a validator marketplace. Right now, the validators are less dynamic than we would like, than I would like. I would like to see people want to launch their own subnets. They should be like, look, my service, it's clear what it does, it's transparent, it operates on a blockchain according to known rules. This is a huge difference from the Web 2 world, right? What the Web 2 world says is, hey, I'm Zuckerberg, come to me, give me all your data. And I promise, pinky promise, what have you, I pinky promise not to do anything bad with your data. And then it's up to anyone's guess what he does. And then we find out in the news that he's been selling the data, he's been farming it, etc. So it should be the case instead that people say, look, I'm not like Zuckerberg. I'm not some jackass who has a lot to hide. I am instead out in the open. I'm running my service as a blockchain, and I want you to help me validate, to help me run this system out in the public. And that is when you need that validator marketplace. So this is going to happen when someone builds some smart contracts for recruiting validators and for giving them tokens for their participation, for slashing token rewards, etc. But there has to be some economy built around this, and I haven't seen it yet. It hasn't emerged yet, but this is something that I highly encourage the community to build, and I would love to see it, to use it, and to show it to you guys as well. Tell us more about real-world assets on AVAX. I would love to, but it's such an open-ended question. There's so much happening. Let me just mention that AVAX was known as the FX chain for a while. It still is the FX chain. All of those assets that people were talking about are still present. You can buy Swiss francs. You can buy euros. You can buy whatever currency you might want to buy exists on our chain. And so that alone is pretty nice. And for those of you in countries where FX transactions are highly restricted, etc., might find that to be useful. Those of you who want to buy and sell currencies can find that useful. That's just one aspect of it, but there's so many other real world assets, right? That real estate, etc., that's being digitized. I'm not going to be able to do it justice, So I'm not going to get into that whole mess. There's a rule that says if you can't make a comprehensive list, don't make a list at all. So I'm going to stop after FX chain and simply remind you that that foreign exchange and foreign currencies are very well represented on Avalanche already, and there's much more coming by. Yeah, why is Coinbase and Binance, why are they pretending not to be interested in meme coins? I don't know, but I have a guess. Their business model is to collect those transaction fees, but they're very small. At the end of the day, you're not going to get super rich off of transaction fees. So what's their other business model is to charge for listings. And so there they are trying to charge for listings. And but meme coins, by the time they flare up and they're big, etc., it's, first of all, there's no one to charge for the listing, and two, the whole life cycle of a meme coin might be shorter than the amount of time it takes to even charge someone. So they are forever going to be behind in the meme coin game. The meme coin situation is going to unfold on chain. So watch the chain instead. Why are you going to Coinbase? Why are you on Binance? Take that cash out of there. It's much safer in your own hands, I think, as long as you use a hardware wallet. And just go on chain and do the operations directly. You don't need Binance and Coinbase and so on. So AI when AVAX introduces into the project. I don't quite know what the question is, but we're working on AI. I was working on AI on chain way before anybody else was. Did Jansen touch my arm? No. Am I going to make a big deal if I run into Jansen? No, that's not the kind of thing we are. Our ideas stand alone and by themselves, and it's not proximity to Jansen that will get us anywhere. It's not proximity to Vitalik that will get anybody anywhere. It's going to be the strength of one's ideas. And on that front, we stand unparalleled. The thing that I introduced when it came to AI was this thing called coin-operated agents. And essentially what we built following that introduction about a year ago, and then last summer, we ended up building a prototype of a system, of a subnet, where all the transactions are written in a natural language, like like English or French or German or what have you. So it's really kind of cool. So you could write things like, this is a chess game, and in a regular smart contract programming language like Solidity, you would actually have to provide the rules for chess. It's rather complicated, actually, it turns out, because you have to encode for all those cases that are complicated, the edge cases, the Zugzwang and the en passant and what have you. But instead, with this approach, you could just say, it's a chess game. The AI already knows the laws of chess. And or you could say something different. You could say, this transaction defines a service. That's a lending service. It has two pools, a token pool X and a token pool Y. And if you deposit X's, you can take out Y's. And if you put Y's, you can pull it. And you describe it in English or whatever language you like. And then someone else can come along and use your service in their own language. They can interact with it in Tagalog and have it take place. And it's like, here, I deposit $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and I want to take out a $500 loan. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I just want to take it out. You could do that using that system. And this is, I think, one of the most exciting and one of the most direct ways of marrying AI with blockchains. And we are at the forefront of it. So watch as other people try to figure this stuff out, and watch as other people try to make a narrative out of how close they are to AI and how Jansen touched their arm and so on. And as Kevin said, price is the most boring aspect. Absolutely. Kevin has some really priceless quotes, and this is one of them. So see what I did there. It's very priceless. But he's right. It just doesn't matter what the price does. The question is, are we going to dominate? Any updates on Hyper-VM? Yes, many updates on Hyper-VM. Every week we are hearing numbers on how performant this thing is and where the performance is coming from. So I cannot wait to get to a release, and looking forward to that hopefully soon. So Patrick O'Grady is the person who is pushing this one. Solana is not a capped asset. That's interesting. What people are saying, it's I don't know if it's capped or uncapped. I don't know. There's discussion here in the comments. Price moves up when chain is being used. That is true. It's I think empirically looking back, that is true. What positive effects can Flare network bring Avalanche network? Nothing. Flare network is running an old version of Avalanche. They copied our code and did a whole bunch of stuff. Starting 3 years ago, they did an airdrop to just about every other coin except AVAX holders. So I've never met the Flare founders. I don't know who they are. They've never sent a message to me. But it's kind of weird what they're doing. So they get one message, I guess, to me. I will read one message from them, so they have one chance to redeem themselves. But otherwise, I've kind of written them off as grifters, because you take somebody's work and you don't reward that community. Well, those people are not going to be big fans of you. So they literally gave out airdrops to everybody except us. So that's kind of weird. But they're running very, very old versions of software. I would not be running that software. So there's like a bunch of, and also that's not where innovation is going to happen. You never see innovation. Where's Ethereum Classic now? Innovation is going to happen in the main line of work and not in any of the cheap copies. A lot of PTSD in the ecosystem. Yeah, there is. It's we've been through a lot, but this is common for crypto. It's people get whiplashed. Things change overnight, then they unchange, and people are trying to ban us, and then suddenly they're trying to embrace us, and so on and so forth. That happens quite often, and that's kind of normal. The chain is being used. The chain is actually quite good. We're seeing huge numbers of monthly active users. New users coming in. The numbers are pretty awesome. Actually, I'm not going to present them to you because I don't remember exactly what they are, but it's the numbers are very, very large. So millions of users per month is my understanding as of the last moment. So RWAs, yeah, Alex, that was asked before. I'm not going to be able to make a good comprehensive list of all the real world assets that are coming on board. But trust me when I say that there are a lot of institutions that want to deploy their assets on chain. The bull markets get in the way of this. They kind of incite some activity, but then they get in the way of real world assets. So you're going to see them at the transition point. So it's no surprise that RWAs were a big deal a couple months ago. And we're working on quite a few RWA projects. I'm really excited about these new different asset classes that were previously not represented anywhere, for which there exist no markets. And I did mention the FX market before, just to have one example of a real world asset. Those are very well established. But there are many others, of course, and we're doing everything we can to support them. Subnets help with that digitization. There are many asset holders who want to have some control over the lifetime of their asset, about the trades and what gets done with their asset. And for them, it's essential to have it on a subnet. So we're working with quite a few people. I'm really excited about what's to come, and I'll leave it at that. That's a great question. Big focus for us. And of all the chains, if you think about it, who's working on this? L2s aren't working on this. L2s are just trying to cannibalize Ethereum. So who is really trying to bring new value, new assets onto chains? There aren't that many people doing this in full force, and we're definitely at the forefront, if not the very forefront. I talked about artificial intelligence. We are the very ones who explored coin-operated agents. There's going to be much more coming down coming after that effort. So let's see. All amazing interns. Yes, interns run the show. The Avalanche intern is amazing, and they really are responsible for a lot of the activity here. Which ACP are you most excited for? Oh my God. I have to go and chime in. I've been making it's on my to-do list. I have to chime in on certain ACPs. I can't pick one right now. I cannot pick one right now. There's so many. They're all fantastic. I can't wait to see the whole lot of them almost get adopted into the validator code. What upgrades need to be in place for Avalanche 2.0 to be complete? That's actually not that much. So we're getting there. I'm not sure what we will exactly call Avalanche 2.0. You've seen the roadmap that Patrick O'Grady has published. I think at the moment the E upgrade following the D upgrade is going to be the next big thing for me, and after that, then we will reevaluate what Avalanche 2, where exactly Avalanche 2 goes. I think the core thing that I would like to have in Avalanche 2.0 is an even faster version of your favorite consensus protocol. So that's something that we've been working behind the scenes on. Can you make Avalanche faster? Yeah, you can. There's improvements to be had there as well. So it's really fun to be in this space at this point in time. What do I think of L2s? Well, I think I shared with you what I think of L2s. Many L2s are just trash. It's just somebody's laptop running the EVM badly. That person is probably violating the law because they're essentially running a computer, right? They're running a DEX on top. So what the hell are you doing? You're running an exchange on your laptop? It's like, how is it that the whatever? I'm not going to get into that space, but of examining the legality of other people's operations. But it seems really wrong to me. Even more so, it feels wrong to me from a crypto perspective. We are here because we believe in decentralization. I know I can go much faster if I run all of Avalanche on a big hefty machine. That is not surprising to me. It's not surprising to me that an L2 can be cheap when it runs off of someone's laptop. That's not a big deal. Nor is it a desirable deal. I don't want that network. It takes forever to get your funds out, and you're beholden to the guy running that show. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And there are many other problems with it. Because L2s are designed with the assumption that they're not decentralized, then a hell of a lot of complexity has to go into the L2 rollup, into the connection between the main chain and the L2. Because if and when, it's almost a when the laptop fails, when the sequencer fails, when this thing stops working, you still want access to your funds. And now that's a separate level of complexity. And what can happen, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys. Maybe you're driving and then you decide, something bad can happen, so let me drive differently. And so it starts raining, and then you're like, oh, I could crash to the side. Let me drive more slowly. And then other people do the same thing, and then suddenly you find yourself in a worse situation of your own making. You would have been okay maybe just sort of doing what you normally did, but because you decided to anticipate a problem that may or may not occur, you made that problem more likely to occur. That's how I feel about all of the L2 designs. They make it much more likely. They are designed for a centralized universe, and then suddenly they make that centralization almost impossible to escape from. And it's no wonder that we've been under the Ethereum folks have been trying to push the L2 vision for 2.5, 3 years now, and it has gone nowhere, absolutely nowhere. It's like all of the L2s are either lack fraud proofs or they lack decentralized sequencers. So, if you lack both of them, either one of those things, then you're just trash. It's no different than running a bunch of code on my laptop. Just run it on somebody's laptop. As long as you know the person, it's probably more safe than all this L2 thing. And what are you doing, really? You're reinventing the old world of an intermediary, just with more steps and more complications. Let's see, what else? There's so many comments here. Okay, so now I'm getting to the meatier comments. How will the C chain gain from the innovation? That's a great question. So there's Hyper SDK, there's Vrix, there's Firewood, there's a bunch of other things that are also happening behind the scenes as well. So how are they going to come to the C chain? So that's a good question. almost all of these innovations will first get deployed in subnets. That's where they belong, and it's a great place to test them out and make sure that, to shake them out, make sure that they're really well implemented. And some of them are transparent. Firewood just goes back in where the current database is, and that would be a pretty nice outcome. Nobody even would even know. Things just suddenly get faster. Hyper SDK is different, so that would actually slot in under people's custom VM implementations. And the consensus protocol changes. They also just slot in. Nobody needs to know exactly what messages are exchanged between validators, other than the validators. And if it can be made more efficient, it'll just quietly and transparently make things faster. So I'm really excited about those. We might at some point have you might migrate from one C1 chain to C2 chain or whatnot. That's also possible. I think it's a little too disruptive, so we would try to avoid that as long as we can. But it's possible also. So there's a whole bunch of universes that we could sort of strive towards. At the moment, we're trying to keep change to a minimum, or disruptive changes to a minimum. And so I don't foresee a chain switch or whatnot. But in the worst case, if there's a bunch of incompatible changes, or there's no way to transparently roll something out, one could always go do a chain migration. But that's not anticipated at all. I think everything we have, in especially the short term and medium term, is just transparently updatable. Okay, so I'm getting tired, and we're going on for a long time now. How long have you been working on Core? As I didn't even know it was built by Ava Labs. That's amazing. Roy, that's great to hear. And so I'm glad to hear it. We've been working on it for, I don't know how long, 3 years? 3 years. And the reason for that was, if we leave it up to MetaMask to define the user experience, then it will never be great. MetaMask assumes a slow substrate. It assumes a slow chain. And we don't. We have a fast chain, and we wanted to show that off. MetaMask assumes that there's only one chain that you interact with at any one time. We don't. We have multiple chains. It should be easy to switch between them. Those of you who've used DEX a lot, you're looking typically at one chain, but interacting with another, and Core facilitates that. So these are things that other people can't even conceive right now, that we've worked on, that are easy and transparent and simple with us. Why meme coins are popular? I touched upon this question earlier. Thoughts on making Core wallets simple enough for grandma to use? Yes, we have a lot of thoughts, and I shared them with the Core team. Expect not anytime too soon, but on their agenda is a simplified mode for Core that is really easy to use. None of that, hexadecimal stuff. No, like at the moment, it's sort of a geeky degens wallet. It's good for techie people, and but there is a simplified version that they're working on that just abstracts away everything, and you just kind of just point and click the big buttons, big icons, and it hopefully won't go, like, there's very few opportunities for it to go wrong. Let's see. Didn't the Avalanche Foundation lose a couple $100 million due to FTX? No, as we did not. I think the Avalanche Foundation had a few $1 million with Alameda. I think that was about it. So Emin is so driven when he looks in your eyes. Yeah, it's like I don't know if I'm so driven today. My voice is cracking up. I'm a little tired for no reason today, but I'm generally so bullish on this space, and I feel like, especially with the spring, especially with the ETH Denver, and the whole series of things that we just lived through, I feel incredibly happy about where we are. I feel validated, and I feel like we're on exactly the right path. So it's just so much fun. I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you are as well with me. So don't you need the price to be relatively high in proof of stake? No, when you don't. Sure, you want the security budget to be high, So yes, you want that. You want, but we have so much of the coins staked that I'm not worried. The amount of, if you think about the security budget of a proof of work system, for imagine. So the question you have to ask is, how much would it cost to attack Bitcoin? Well, so how do you attack Bitcoin? There are many different attacks. Let's say the simplest one that everybody understands is a 51% attack. So you look at the miners, the cost of the miners that make up the Bitcoin, that comprise the Bitcoin system, and the miners that are producing the blocks. If you can buy just as many as those plus a little bit more, then you can take over the chain, and you could censor people, you could then blackmail people, etc. So so the cost of mining hardware for Bitcoin is about 1% of the total market cap of Bitcoin. So that's in the billions, right? It's high, but it's not insanely high. The amount of the amount of coins securing, say, Avalanche, or these days now that Ethereum is proof of stake finally, or Ethereum is much larger than that, right? About 60 to 70% of all coins are staked on Avalanche. That's a really good situation to be in. So yeah, it's very different. Proof of stake is so much more efficient in so many ways. Do I follow crypto regulations in the US, EU, or Turkey? Yes, I follow crypto regulations in all three of those countries, as well as Korea, Japan, and India, and maybe in a remote, distant manner, what's happening in other locations like Russia as well. So did I cover everything? Did I say Korea, Japan, India? Korea, Japan, China, of course. How did I miss China? So yes, I follow. I've always followed all these happenings, and I've shared my opinions on these things with you before. The situation in general, I would say, is very good. I'm a little concerned, as somebody who lives in the U.S., that the U.S. might be losing this war, that the EU is further ahead. They have thought through crypto regulation more than we have. Korea is further ahead. And I should mention Singapore and Singapore and Switzerland as well. So our lawyers are, they brief me on what's happening. All right, I'm gonna start wrapping up. Let's see, is there some good question here? How's it going with the meme rush program on Trader Joe? It's going okay. Does it meet my expectations? I haven't really checked deeply. In general, Trader Joe seems to be doing everything right, and I'm grateful to them. They've been trailblazers, and good to see them focus on their own community these days again. In a bear market, sometimes founders kind of get antsy and they start looking for other venues. And Trader Joe looked at deploying in other chains and came back and said, "Look, this is where we are," and that's good to see. So because this is where they are, and those other chains are just whatever. Is we talked about them, not really fun. So what's the meme coin situation on Avalanche like? If anything, I would want our community to I don't know what, to adopt a different mentality. Lots and lots of people had so much fun with Avalanche that I kind of need you guys to relax a little bit and have as much fun with these meme coins, right? And but if you're in some antsy mode, you're like, oh my god, I bought at 1535 and it went to 1533. That's just not gonna that's not a good mentality. You should be like, okay, well, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's the whole meme game. So you guys need to. When I look at Twitter, I see some of those comments from people who are like, oh, meme coin this, meme coin that. It might just be that person is ill-equipped. Maybe don't play that game if you can't play it. But if you're going to play it, then play it with the global rules. All the other people, all the other communities, when I look at them, they can just absorb all sorts of things. They're like, okay, it's just I made a speculative guess, didn't work out, move on. So that's sort of what I would counsel the community here today. Am I hyped for the on-chain merch eShop built by Husky? Oh, that's exciting. Well, point me to it, Hank. I would love to see the on-chain merch eShop. And I don't know what's available there, but I do have some Husky gear. I think I have a Husky T-shirt. I think I have a Husky sweatshirt from the first summit, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a cool project. So anyway, so show me the merch store. When is the Avalanche Africa Summit in Cape Town? I don't know. I would love to see an Avalanche Africa Summit in Cape Town or elsewhere, but it's not planned yet. I would love to see it, though. We do need to have more geographical diversity. And if you want to hold such a summit, do let me know. I would love to support it in any way I can, maybe come there and so on and so forth. Okay, guys, this stream of questions will never come to an end. I was hoping to reach the end, but I'm not. Let's see. Oh, yeah, so Coding Alone says, if you're inventing a new elliptic curve for your prover to be fast, do not tell me that you're inheriting security from your layer 1. Yes, correct. These layer 2s are all over the place. None of their narratives match what they do. It is fundamentally, it seems to me, a dishonest game. And I don't know how long you can play this game, right? It's at some point, the communities must have to say, look, you don't have fraud proofs. Like, this thing is more culture than tech, right? It's just selfies with Vitalik than actual delivered code. So it's just got to end. What do I think of Solana? We love Solana. It's, they're doing a bunch of things right. They represent an approach to gaining performance that's completely orthogonal to our approach. Our approach is better science. Make the science different. Change it so that you get these enormous efficiencies. What's Solana doing? Make the engineering better. That's a perfectly legitimate way of doing things. So they're pulling all the stops. They're throwing hardware at the problem. They're saying, look, there's a bunch of data that I'm not going to keep. And every now and then I'll push the envelope so far that the system will move out of its comfortable operating envelope and stop. And maybe I'll reboot from Google Drive or whatever. That's fine. That's a different way of doing things. And not us. That's not good for us. But I commend what they're doing. And some of the things they've experimented with have paid off. So there's a reason why inscriptions don't use Solana as much, because they don't keep as much data around the way we do. So that was an interesting exploration. Much respect to Anatoly, much respect to Solana, and I hope they do well. They continue to do well. They're doing fairly well, and I think our approach is totally different and more aggressive, or just as aggressive, if not more aggressive. And we will see what happens at the end of the day. I will leave on this note: Solana is a single chain system, so when the chain gets clogged, like every other chain, the prices, the fees will just go up like this. Not the price, the fees will go up like this. And Avalanche is not a single chain system. When we have load spikes, the fees might spike, but we have ways of shedding load onto other chains. And so we can have infinitely many applications in parallel. Solana can have only so many of them. And that represents a very different architectural approach. So I'm proud of where we are. Much respect to Solana for pushing that one chain as fast as possible. So I think I'm gonna, let's follow each other. That's a good idea. I think everybody should follow each other. We do need a better, more tightly knit community. And yes, Emin's voice is cracking because he's been recording more raps. That's right. So the intern ended up using some AI to generate some rap songs for me. So we've been looking for a new intern ever since. He doesn't know this yet, though. And he's going to be tied up in the supply cabinet until we find a new one. Any future plans with Benki and subnets that I can discuss? No, I can't discuss anything related to Benki or other stuff. I love Benki though, and I think we had, I believe I had the Benki founders on my podcast, and I thoroughly enjoy talking to them. And they're doing great stuff. They were also there in Lisbon at the Codebase event, helping the next generation of Avalanche developers get their code, get their projects started. So they're doing great stuff, and can't wait to see them flourish even more. Is AWM path dependent? No, it is not path dependent. So let's see. That's about it. I think that's. I don't know what other questions. This is like, it's also moving too much right now. I can't tell what's going on, but I think this is it for now. I'm going to stop. I'm tired. I'm looking forward to a fantastic weekend. It's the Easter weekend over here. It's promising to be a sunny, nice, lovely weekend in New York. I hope you guys are all enjoying yourselves wherever you might be, and I hope you're enjoying the chain, and I hope to see you exactly there on chain. Take care for now, and thank you for bearing with me.